What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video, on First Take, they're going to be talking about, are the Seattle Seahawks the Patriots of the NFC? So let's see what they have to say about that.
With both quarterbacks Russell Wilson and head coach Pete Carroll still in place, are the Seahawks the Patriots of the NFC?
They're the closest. Look, I've always said this. They're the closest thing the NFC has to an answer to the Patriots. Let me be very clear. The Patriots are greater than the Seahawks. Belichick is greater than Pete Carroll.
Yes.
Brady is greater than Russell Wilson. So I'm not arguing that.
So I think you're wrong, Max. I don't think there's any team that's on par with the New England Patriots, let alone the Seattle Seahawks and the NFC. Actually, I think any teams that will be close to New England Patriots in the NFC will be three teams, and they're all pretty much neck and neck. But they're still far behind the New England Patriots. But we'll go over that in a second. So let's continue.
But I'm telling you this. The Patriots, think about how the whole thing started. They have a young quarterback, right, who replaces a veteran who had been to the playoffs. That veteran had some success. Belichick takes over. Brady gets the job. And he's a game manager who's big on third down and good under pressure before he became a great player. And the Patriots have a ton of success early. They win Super Bowl after Super Bowl because they're the greatest dynasty considering parity of the era of all time. It's not close in the NFL. The Seahawks don't quite do that, but they had a coach in place. They have Matt Hasselbeck, a veteran quarterback. They finally make the playoffs. They win a playoff game. Then they draft Russell Wilson. They have a great coach and a great quarterback. They make the playoffs. They win. When they lose, it's close. Then it cooled off for a while, right? It was 10 years in between Super Bowl wins, and then they got back on the stick. And in that time, they were a powerhouse every year. They made the playoffs almost, except for 1 year that Brady got hurt. They would almost always win at least a playoff game, but sometimes only a playoff game. Once maybe they didn't win a playoff game. The Seahawks went through that period already, or maybe they're still going through it. That doesn't mean, just because it's still earlier in Wilson's career with Carroll, earlier in the Seahawks' history, that they won't ultimately have success. And I predict, as long as those two are in place, the Seahawks will be a powerhouse every year. They're not done winning Super Bowls, and they're the closest thing the NFC has an answer to the Patriots.
Here's what I would.
So again, Max, I think you're wrong. So there's no team that's on par with the New England Patriots. So let's take a look at the numbers real quick. So since 2010, the New England Patriots, their record is 113-31 with a .785 winning percentage. Now let's take a look at the NFC since 2010. These are the top NFC teams since 2010. So you start off with Green Bay Packers, 89-53-2 with the winning percentage of .625. Then you have the Seattle Seahawks with a record of 89-54-1 with a .622 winning percentage. Then you have the New Orleans Saints with a record of 87-57 with the winning percentage of .604. So I don't think there's no team that's really close to the New England Patriots. But if you want to talk about the NFC, who would be closest to them, I would say it would have to be those three teams: Green Bay, Seattle, and New Orleans. It's not just Seattle that's up there with getting close to being with the New England Patriots. So I think it's those three teams. Now, you can start splitting hairs. Of course, Green Bay hasn't had the best of years. So the past 2 years, they've had losing seasons. So last year, the Seattle Seahawks, they got beat in the wild card by the Dallas Cowboys, who went on and lost to the LA Rams. And then you have the New Orleans Saints. Everybody knows what happened with them in the playoffs with the bad call that could have put them into the Super Bowl. So as far as that, those teams are pretty much neck and neck, and all of them are equally as close or as far away, if you want to call it that, to New England Patriots. So let's continue.
Closest thing, though. I mean, that's
there is no Patriots.
Right?
I
don't even put them in the same sentence. But here's what I would say. Seattle, Pete Carroll, and Russell Wilson together. Do I think that they have a chance to win another Super Bowl? At some point in time, yes. But to try and say that they're the closest thing to the Patriots, it's not fair to them, and it's not fair to the Patriots, and it's not fair to the NFC, because the New Orleans Saints is right there, too. I mean, Drew Brees and Sean Payton have been together, and they actually won a Super Bowl. They should have been in the Super Bowl last year, but we all know what happened there. But when you look at it, the constant for them has been the coaching staff of the New England Patriots, not for Seattle. Every year there's turnover in Seattle on their coaching staff. In the front office.
In the front office.
So, you know what, Keyshawn Johnson, you are correct about the New Orleans Saints coming up there and balling too. But there's been a couple seasons where they barely broke 500, if they hadn't broke 500. And Seattle steady stays above 500, and instead of making it to the playoffs, even though last year they didn't do so well. But so as far as that, like I said, I think it's those three teams, Green Bay, Seattle, and New Orleans, that are neck and neck of being the closest to the New England Patriots, which is far from being as good as New England Patriots. But let's continue.
Where in New England, Josh McDaniels left for a couple years. What happened? He came right back. I mean, and other than that, it's just started happening to New England where they're losing coaches. Charlie Weiss and Romeo Crennel, they left, but they were allowed to bring in Josh McDaniels to make him the offensive coordinator when Charlie left. So that's been consistent for them the entire way. There's no consistency on the Seattle Seahawks coaching staff
the coach
at
is
all.
not the GM in Seattle.
At all.
There is... Last segment, I said something that might have been considered a little bit absurd, but you didn't even give me a segment to be the most absurd thing on the show. You said that the closest thing to the Patriots, that's near blasphemy. They won 6 Super Bowls and went to 8. They've won 1 Super Bowl.
So actually what it is the New England Patriots have been to 9 Super Bowls, and they've won 6, and they lost 3. And I just have to put this in there. Tom Brady lost 2 Super Bowls to Eli Manning and the New York Giants. So I just had to throw that in there. So let's continue.
And blew another one. But I get so mad about that play.
I disagree with you. I don't think that was the wrong play. They lost, but I don't think it was because of that.
Patriots' Super Bowl success has come in very recent years. That's a decade or more into the process that the Seattle Seahawks are not in.
No, but they've been hanging around. But they've been hanging around, like, seriously.
And they've shown
hanging around as home field, first seed, second seed. They're not wild cards.
And they've shown that.
Exactly, Keyshawn. The New England Patriots stay in charge of the division and stay in the driver's seat to be making it to the Super Bowl, if not going to the Super Bowl, if not winning the Super Bowl. You can't necessarily say that about the Seattle Seahawks. Like I said before, they had 2 Super Bowls back-to-back, but they won 1, which the second one, they had a chance to beat the New England Patriots, but they didn't want to run the ball with beast mode. So as far as that, but the New England Patriots, they stay in charge of their division. And Seattle, it's kind of a toss-up sometimes of who's going to be doing what. So let's continue.
Ability to recreate that team and win Super Bowls that way. The Seahawks are in the process of recreating that team and not winning a Super Bowl. It's 6-1, 8-2. I don't even know why I'm having this conversation.
But that's a ridiculous. You can't compare
They're
at
not
this
the
stage. You have to compare at the similar stage. At a similar stage of the quarterback-coach link-up. How many years went by? What have they done? The Patriots won 3. They were all close. All those Super Bowls were close.
Yes,
okay, Seattle has been to 2 and won 1 at a similar point in their history.
They didn't blow.
No,
they absolutely
blew it. They blew it.
The dude ripped off 9 yards on the first down.
But
Come on, man.
Look, they blew it. The Patriots got a little lucky in some of those Super Bowls. Could have gone either way.
Marshawn Lynch gained 9 yards on first down.
Malcolm took it. They didn't blow it. I don't think that throwing the ball in that situation is foolish on a slant.
Oh, come on, man. You don't think throwing a ball in that situation is foolish? I mean, come on, man. Beast Mode has been trucking people the whole darn game, and you're not going to give it to him? You don't think he can't get a couple yards to get a touchdown, being hyped up off their adrenaline, going in there and winning another Super Bowl? You don't think he would have ran that ball in? You think it's smart to have thrown that ball at that point in time? You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. But let's continue.
You give it to beast mode. We're not even having this conversation.
How old is this debate?
It doesn't. It's an old debate.
But the point is, don't try to compare the whole resume to the resume. I'm saying at the same point in the history of Belichick and Brady, Carroll and Wilson are not that, but they're the closest thing the NFC has.
They won't be.
No, they not.
They won't get anywhere near it.
You see, Max, I don't know if you could say that because, like I said, Aaron Rodgers has a Super Bowl win. You know, Russell Wilson has a Super Bowl win. Drew Brees has a Super Bowl win. And, you know, Seattle, they just got beat last year in the wild card against the Cowboys. And how far did the New Orleans Saints go? They were a play away from making it to the Super Bowl. So, you know, you can't necessarily say that Seattle is just, you know, above and beyond everybody in the NFC and is on the footsteps of the New England Patriots. You can't say that. You can't say that. So let's continue.
Closest to me. They're not
but Breeze is 40 years old.
I understand that. I understand Breeze is 40, and if Sean Payton doesn't take the Dallas Cowboy job next year, he'll be in New Orleans right with Drew Brees again. So when you look at that, I'm more in line with Drew Brees and Sean Payton than I am with Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson.
Drew Brees was.
I think I'm going to have to agree with that because New Orleans is firing all cylinders right now, and they have all the momentum versus Seattle. Like I said, they got booted out in the wild card, and New Orleans made it to the NFC Championship game, but it was a play away from making it to the Super Bowl. And I definitely think that the New Orleans Saints can do that again. And as far as Green Bay, they've had back-to-back losing seasons, but I would never outcount Aaron Rodgers. Never outcount Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers, they can just come back and be just as good as they've ever been next year. So like I said, I think it's those three teams in NFC that are neck and neck: Green Bay, Seattle, and New Orleans. It's not just Seattle that's the front runner and is the Patriots of the NFC. Like I said, it's those three teams. And then far ahead of all them is the New England Patriots that are just completely dominant and nobody's even close. But let's continue.
Never game manager, big on third down, evolve into a star player. When he got to New Orleans, it's like, oh, look at this.
But this is the same.
Wilson is much more like Brady that way.
But he's going to stay that way, though. He's never going to be unleashed as a Tom Brady, throw the ball 50 times and get 500 yards. It's never going to happen.
He won't get the yards the same way, but he'll still put up big offensive numbers. He has been.
No, not like Brady completion percentage-wise. All of the sort of things that he won't do that because the offense that
Brady has.
Well, the offense that Pete wants to run is not the same as New England. They don't run the same sort of stuff.
Of course,
they don't believe in the same.
If you drill down enough to enough details, of course, similarities you stop seeing similarities because they're not the same team. What I'm saying is the link up of a great coach and a great quarterback who comes into the league a certain way and then has a certain level of success. It's the closest thing we've seen. Wilson and Carroll haven't been together all that long to have already been to 2 Super Bowls and only missed one play.
So, if anything, Max, I think you're giving too much credit to Seattle, or you're not giving enough credit to New England Patriots, because the Seattle, they're good, they're doing great, and they have a great start and going in the direction of the New England Patriots, but they're not there yet, and they're not even close to them, really, to tell the truth. They're doing good, but they're not close to doing what New England Patriots are doing or what they could probably do. They're just not. So I don't know if you're giving Seattle more credit than they deserve, or you're not giving New England enough credit, especially to put Seattle and knocking on the same footsteps as New England. They're just not there yet. They're just not there yet at all. Like I said, it's three teams that are neck and neck: Green Bay, Seattle, or New Orleans for the NFC. And nobody else is even remotely touching New England, no matter how they're starting or what they were at the same point in their career as Brady and Belichick. So let's continue.
I just don't think it's...
Are they still a Super Bowl caliber team, would you say, the Seahawks?
Yes, they are.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think
every year.
Yes, I do agree with that the Seattle Seahawks are definitely contenders, that they can make it to the Super Bowl. But like I said, last year they got beat up by the Cowboys in the wild card. But they're still competitors. That's why I said there's three teams that, if you want to call it, are close to being close to what the New England Patriots are in Green Bay, Seattle, and New Orleans. So, I don't know. Let's continue.
Yeah, as long as they have Russell Wilson, I think they're a Super Bowl caliber team. But
no, I think as long as they have a defense, they're a Super Bowl caliber team.
But you never count them out of the playoffs because they have Wilson and Carroll.
No, I never.
They're a playoff.
That's entirely different. Not counting them out is different than the way we think about the Patriots. You're almost crazy to say that the Patriots won't be in the conference championship. I don't think it's outrageous to say that.
They get the wins out of the AFC